Today, Damien Kuhn joins us from Nelspruit, which is down the road from the Mac Mac 200 miler. In 2023, Damien led the race for a little over 200 Ks, and then things fell apart a little for him. He came back in 2024, he claimed that win. Damien's a physiotherapist, he's a very active member of his local sporting community, and just recently also finished off Comrades. I think he ran his back-to-back. Let's jump into it. And Damien, just talk me through that first run in 2023. What happened to you then?
I was actually sick the week before the race, and that just caught up to me with the cold air and not being prepared well mentally. So the easy way out was to stop, and made a split-second decision, and there we go.
Yeah, I'll get a little more into that in a while.
Yeah.
So between those two races, what shifted for you? Physically, mentally, emotionally, what changed?
So the day after the race, I woke up with regret, and that stuck with me every single day after that race up until the next year when it was time to run again. And that was my biggest thing, was just getting rid of that. Just being able to get back there and to challenge myself again was the biggest thing. And that was the thing I struggled with most, but that also, gave fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I know what you mean there. Okay, you've just come off Comrades now, and it's pretty close to Mac Mac. What do you think that Comrades run, how is that going to affect your Mac Mac?
Comrades is an awesome long run before Mac Mac 200. I think it's a good way to test yourself, to test your nutrition, see how your conditioning has gone. I did the same last year, and there was 16 days between Comrades and Mac Mac. This year there's 23 days between the two. But I definitely feel that this year's Comrades was very hard on the body. I did not have a good run. I struggled with an ITB from about 30 Ks in. So I actually ran slower than I was planning to, an hour and a half slower. Physically, it was very challenging, and it was negative in a physical way, but mentally, it was very rewarding. So it allowed me to dig a bit deeper and was good for the mental side of it. So pros and cons. You can't always win on all levels. So as a whole, I think it was a positive to see we are still lack a bit in conditioning and in nutrition. So I can just refine those things before Mac Mac, and hopefully everything will pan out within the next few days.
I think it's a fantastic event to run. As a trail runner, it's a terrible looking route, but the whole vibe on the road and people's involvement just makes it next level.
100%, definitely.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you see yourself as a fast finisher? Are you a grinder? Do you adapt to the course as it unfolds? Like, what's your mental approach to this?
I definitely think I'm more of a grinder. I think anybody taking on an ultra run must be able to adapt or die, because things change drastically out there, and they change not only for you, but for everybody out on the course. So that if you can't adapt, then you have a problem. But yeah, you have to keep grinding, and it's those 1 second wins that make up the thing in the end.
Yeah, so that approach of just reduce the errors, reduce the little bits of wasted time.
100%, 100%. Yeah, and it's so easy to waste time and get lost in the thought, and just a quick rest under this tree. And as you said in one of your previous podcasts that I listened to yesterday, is just those little aid station breaks, a minute or two here and a minute or two there, make a lot of minutes up in the end.
They do. Yeah. So you're based in Nelspruit. Do you get to spend time on the trail? And if you do, how much of an edge do you think that gives you?
I've been out there about 3 or 4 times now. I don't want to spend too much time on the trail, because not just travel wise, but it for me, it's about an hour and a half drive to get there. And then if you end up doing, 5 or 6 hours and an hour and a half back, it's a whole day out there. So that is challenging, but I feel I've got enough experience on the course to know what is wherever you run, the terrain changes, but yeah, it's good to just get out there once or twice to familiarize yourself with the mud and the slippery red mud and the cold of Sabi, and that it's always, you never dry, you're always clammy. But more than that, I think, yeah, you can do most of your training on various terrains. I think it gives maybe a slight edge to be out there, but it's not something that I would do on a regular basis.
Are there specific sections like that you use for key workouts or mindset anchoring? I mean, I know for me personally, in my mind, both on the 100 miler and the 200 miler, when you get back to Mac Mac Hut for that second loop and you're on your way home, that's like an anchor point for me. I feel full of joy then because okay, now we're going home. Do you have any of those?
Yes. Yeah, so for me, it would be the section between Mary Pebbles, Salon Hut, up to Overbos and back down, because essentially that's the start and the finish. So for me, visualization wise, that's where you want to be. You want to have a good start and you want to finish. So the rest is irrelevant. For me, it's getting back to that point and finishing. What happens in between happens in between.
How do you structure your training and mix it up between your road running and your trail running? And also taking on when you do hill intervals, are you doing intervals? Are you doing track work? What does it look like?
I am a firm believer of quality over quantity. So, I mean, last year I used Comrades as my gauge for the year. So last year I went into Comrades with about Ks on the legs for the year. This year I went in with 1,100 Ks, and I use other races as long runs. So Potch Backyard Ultra is a great way to put some distance on the legs, and then Comrades as well. And then I'll have the odd longer run in between. And further than that, most of my training is on road with short sections of technical trail so that I can get in distance without having hours and hours and hours. I think the big advantage for me is work-wise. Being a physio, I stand 9 hours a day. So compared to a desk job, I already have 9 hours per day longer than the next person that I'm on my feet. And I think that really does help. Yeah, I don't really do too many speed intervals. If I do, it will be a bit of fart and tempo runs. I quite like those. So a nice example would be every second or so Saturday, I would have about a 2K run where I would run to the local park run. I'll try and come in first or second place in the park runs, run a sub 20-minute park run, and then just run back home. So a bit of, longer run, hard speed interval, and then just survive on the way back home.
As you said, you're a physio. Does your background give you insight into training smarter or avoiding injury? Are you that dentist who has whose kids have the worst teeth in school?
I think it gives me an advantage in terms of conditioning. So I'm a firm believer that you need to lift heavy weights, and that pulls through into your running. And yes, I think I can pick up a niggle before it becomes an issue. I can identify it and manage it fairly well, and that helps. I know when to seek advice and when I can handle it on my own, and that definitely helps. And I think it just broadens the spectrum in terms of thinking as well, nutritionally, load adaptations, and as I said, conditioning.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you touched on a point that we focus on a lot, and that is that mind-body connection and understanding why you're doing a workout and what its effect is supposed to be, and managing the load to get the right result, rather than just blindly following a program you've copied out the back of a book.
100%.
Super important. Let's talk a bit about your mental strategies, because honestly, I mean, a 200-mile race for anybody sounds insane from the outside, right? And this is within South Africa, it's the toughest running race that we have. So it takes a lot from a mental point of view to get through something like that, or does it? I mean, what are your mental strategies that help you just stay focused and composed, especially in that 2024 win? You seem to open up a gap and you just kept that gap.
100%. So mentally, it's a massive mental load that you put on yourself. Even looking back post race, I was mentally fatigued for about 6 weeks, whereas physically, I was back running races within 2 weeks. But just having that ability to push yourself into the red was not there for me. So I took a bit of a break just to get the mental side of it back. I remember going to a park run and even just walking, and the guy saying, "No, man, you've got to push. You can do better than this." And meanwhile, I'm thinking, "You have no idea, buddy." But that's what I needed in that moment. But yeah, having your mental strategies before the race is very important for me, because I know at some point you're going to struggle. You're going to want to break down. You're going to want to stop, and to try and fumble and get a plan in that moment, that doesn't work. You need to know, when this happens, what am I going to do? And for me, it's just, that's fine. Sit down, look at your time, look at where you are, and then you can calculate what's the next step. And if I had incorporated that strategy when I stopped on my first 200 miler, I would have seen, like, okay, I don't feel great now. I'm coughing a lot of phlegm, but look at the time. There's enough time actually to walk. If I walked, I would have made it. And the chance that I would have felt better in a few hours was there, 100%. But in the moment, you just want to escape. Yeah, just knowing how to crisis manage before the crisis arises, I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely invaluable skills. I mean, there's so much familiarity in the story, but that's space for time for a different podcast.
Yes.
So coming back and winning, I mean, did that feel like redemption? How did that feel to have come back in that next year and then actually just, you seem to handle the race so well and finish so strong?
It was the whole strategy behind it was psychological for me. I had stopped the previous year by the toilet at Mac Mac Falls. I slept underneath the roof of the toilet in the rain, and I still remember Eben coming by, and he caught up to me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm fine. I'm right behind you. I'll be there now." And when I got up there, I just felt so fatigued and heavy that my mind just said, "This is it." I walked to the tar road and a bucky came by and I tapped out. And for me, going back last year, that was the point of exit. And my race I felt it was easy up until that point. And funny enough, 100 meters past that point was the toughest part of the race for me, because it was as if I just shut down because I had achieved the breaking point, and now what now? That was a critical point for me. And I think what I did as motivation, I packed in my drop bag at Mac Mac Hut for the last section, I had packed the clothes which I wore the previous year. The plan was to finish with the clothes in 2023. So that was my finish strategy for 2024, to close the loop, put on those clothes, just settle the old score. And for me, it wasn't about winning. It was about just giving my all and finishing what I started. And that allowed me to do so.
And I love that. I love that. That's putting on the previous year's clothes. Have you got any, like, what do you rely on when things really start to fall apart on the race? And as you said, they always do, right? There's a couple of places where you have really dark moments. Do you have a particular strategy?
I think I've got a really good team behind me of friends, and that really makes a difference. I know I can call them at any time and they'll tell me, "Suck it up, buddy. You've put in the work. You know what to do." And that's what you need. So I'm a big David Goggins fan, and his terminology for it is your foxhole. You got to know who's in your foxhole with you, and you don't want somebody that's going to say, "Oh, it's easy." And you've got to have yourself in that foxhole as well, a bit of an alter ego that you can chat to. So that's the thing for me, almost like a darker side of yourself that's there to tell you, "Okay, but you need to go. You need to get your feet going, get your mind going." And you pick up on key little things from people through the years. And the one thing, well, one of the things that I like using is there's a guy called John Carter. He's actually going to run the 200 mile this year. And before I packed on my first 100 mile, he said to me, all you need is relentless forward movement. So just keep moving. Doesn't matter how bad it is, just keep moving. And one of the things is from you. It's the first time we ran together. We were just past Salon Hut climbing up before Maritzbos. And you said to me, at some point in the race, you're going to hit the wall and you don't know where it is. So just go, see how your body feels, just go. And when you reach that point, then you manage that. And that's what I did. That was the year that you were so sick.
Yeah.
After 60 Ks, yeah. And I mean, that's what I did. I just ran, and when you reach that point, you manage it.
I wish I'd learned that lesson myself in that same year. How's your mindset evolved between those races and even to now? You know, between that first big 200 where things didn't go to plan, through having done so well on the last one, and now, like, what's the mindset evolvement that's happened for you?
I think my mind has grown so much. So my ultra journey started with an Ironman. I never did a half Ironman. I said, my goal is Ironman. I'm not going to do a half because that's not the goal. It defeats the purpose. You know, why do the half if the full is the goal? I did an Ironman and I expected it to be tough. And I said, I'm going to finish this thing and I'm going to get a tattoo because it's going to be so hard. And 3 days after Ironman, I entered Mac Mac 100 mile. And I went and I had no idea what I was doing. I was, there was a 6 hour period of rain from about 12:30 to 6 in the morning. And my feet were absolutely broken and swollen. And it was so tough. I ran a 31 hours on my 100 mile. And I said, next year I'm coming back for this thing. And I recall it was about 10 weeks before Mac Mac. And Elof gave me a call together with JT, the owner of the Vine pub. And it was a Friday afternoon, and they've been in the bar, and they asked me, as they do, what soup would you like on your 200 miler? And I said to these guys, you guys are nuts. I will not run a 200 mile. No chance. And, they said, yeah, we'll see. And about 2 weeks went by and this was in my mind. And I phoned them later, 2 weeks later, and I said, I'm in, and that's how I got into 200 miles. Yeah. And I think my mind has just expanded so much in what we are capable of. And I actually now look forward to challenging myself on different races, different distances, just to see how we can adapt. And every time you learn a bit about yourself, and there's so much more to learn than we actually think.
Yeah, that's an important aspect of what we do, is that sense of curiosity of, can I do this? Standing on that start line of a 200 miler, there's no ways you stand there convinced you can do it. There's got to be doubt, right? So it's that sense of, can I do this? Which is part of my drive as well.
100%. And once again, you can be as prepared as the next guy, but anything can happen out there. You can roll your ankle 10 Ks in, or you can be sick. And what this allows is, once again, the mental aspect comes into how do you handle it, because, things change. It's a few days and you can go from absolutely zero to coming out hero on the other side, and vice versa. And I think that's the big ball game, is like, how do you manage issues? How do you manage yourself? Because in the end, you are your greatest ally and your biggest contender.
Yeah, one angel on either shoulder.
100%.
Look, looking at following your social media feeds and stuff, you look like you're very involved in your local sporting community, right? I suppose I would expect that from the physio side, but there's running, there's CrossFit. even rugby. How's that shaped you as an athlete?
Rugby is purely on professional level in terms of work. I don't play at all, but CrossFit and high rocks and all those other things, we're given one body and you have to challenge yourself, and all these things tie into various areas. So, the last year has been awesome in terms of building community and getting so much people into running and broadening their own horizons. Last Friday night, we had a night run in Kaapstad, and I had quite a few people join that have only done like a 6K run, and they came out and we did a 17K, and it was amazing to see their faces and hear their experience being out there under the stars, because it's something that the normal person wouldn't do. And that's the whole idea that we're trying to create, is creating a safe and comfortable environment for people to challenge themselves and to grow, because that's the only way we're going to grow the sport and grow people's love for running and adventure running. As we know, there's a massive difference between being a road runner and being a trail runner, and incorporating that. And it's still frightening to see how many road runners that have done 6, 7, 8 comrades are scared to get on a trail.
Yeah.
You rather risk an overuse injury or kidney failure as opposed to maybe rolling your ankle,
Yeah.
And it's,
I think also what comes as a result of your profile, you won that one, the fact that you didn't even finish the first one, then that kind of makes your profile even bigger. And you find, as so many people do, that there's a lot of people looking to you, right? A lot of people looking up to you because you've done this. Do you find that adds, like, your community's now, Damien's our hero kind of idea? Do you feel that adds pressure for this one?
Yes and no. I think people that follow me, like, I've got a WhatsApp group for Mac Mac and for my big races, which anybody can join. So I put up, how it's going in the race. What am I doing? Is it going well? Is it not going well? And they know it doesn't always go well. For me, so far this year has been tough race-wise. Potch Backyard Ultra was not good. I had stomach issues. I just was bloated and uncomfortable the whole time. Comrades, once again, had pain, struggled, and those are key races for me. So things don't always go according to plan, but I think the ability to manage that and just pull through in the end is inspiring. It brings you down to human level again, because people tend to think you're crazy for doing these things, and only the crazy ones can do it. And I think, suffering and having things not always go according to plan put you on the same level as anybody else, and that encourages them in turn to try these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody can do these things. You just have to be able to work at it.
Yes.
So do you feel like you're running for something beyond just personal achievement?
Sure. That's a difficult thing to answer. Yes and no. Look, it's a great personal achievement to see what you can do. But for me, the biggest thing, what I try to do in all platforms of sport, is to inspire people, to challenge themselves and to be the best version of themselves. So I always say, whether you're doing a 1K, whether you're walking around the block, as long as you feel that you are being the best version of you, then I've done my job.
So looking ahead, you're going into Mac Mac this year, as you said for yourself, Comrades didn't go according to plan. But what are your goals now for the race? Are you looking to win, looking to have a good race? What are your personal goals for this one?
Sure. So I've got 3 goals. My first goal is to finish. That's first place, finish the race. Second place would be to win, and third place would be to improve my time. Winning isn't everything when you're running at that level. It's great, but it's not everything. So people always ask me when they hear I won a 200 miler, like, what did you win? Big excitement on their faces. What did you win? I won a beer, but the last guy also got a beer, and everybody else that didn't finish, they also got beers. So you win eternal glory. and bragging rights. So it's not just about winning, and finishing the race, that is a win. 100%, that is a win. And I think that is the second win. The first win is showing up, being on the start. That's a win. And, just giving your all. It all depends on what level do you want to win on.
So now, final bits of advice for guys who are coming to the race, but they're a little bit unsure if they're ready. What are your final words? You run it 3 times or twice. You're going into your third one. What's your advice to the newbies lining up?
Control the controllables. At this point, today we're 2 weeks out from the race. There's not much you're going to change fitness-wise now. Work on your mental game, because that will carry you through. If your fitness is way off point and you are under condition, if your head is in the game, you will get there. And manage the few days leading up to the race. Manage your stress levels. Make sure you're getting enough rest, because that will catch up to you in the race. That second night and third night, not your friends in terms of the mental game. And biggest thing is enjoy yourself. Make sure that you go out there to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, that's probably the key, right? Really enjoy yourself. It's one big adventure. And if you're not having fun, there's going to be lots of moments of not having fun. So when there's a bit of joy, really suck it up. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Oh, awesome. It's been amazing having this chat. And I'm so psyched to be lining up again together in, as you say, 2 weeks and 6 hours.
Yes, you're looking a bit nervous there.
The more nervous I get, I tell you. But like you, my first goal is just finish the race. That's got to be the most important thing this time out, for sure.
100%.
Look, mention your social media followings. Where can people follow you if they want to connect with you online, follow what you're doing? You said you've got WhatsApp groups.
On Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, it's just Damien Kuhn. They can find me there. And on Instagram, it's Damien Physio. And I post a lot of the things that I do up there. And I'll also, within the next few days, I'll start posting the link to my WhatsApp group, which anybody can join. And then in turn, the Mac Mac tracking link will be up on Instagram and on my WhatsApp group. And the WhatsApp group is nice. It makes it a bit more interactive, because people can ask questions, and I post my nutrition stuff on there. And, you feel part of the race. And as I run, I take a few snaps and put them on there. Yeah, so it brings you as a spectator like right into the race.
That's awesome. That's brilliant. Fantastic. Damien, thanks so much, man. This is the work we do, and you're just doing it beautifully. So I wish you all the best for the race. I'll see you there. Have a good one.
Thank you. It was amazing chatting to you, and all the best with your last bit of prep. And I will see you in Sabi in 2 weeks. There we go.